The Knicks postgame show presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. Jalen Brunson out with a sore neck. So Jose Alvarado from Brooklyn, his first start as a Knick. Boy, did he play well. 16 points and a season-high 10 assists. And you got to have heart. Josh, with his highest point total as a Knick, 33 points, 12 of 13 shooting from the floor. And the Knicks blow out the Pacers 136-110. Great to have you with us, everybody. A feel-good win tonight for the Knicks. Bill Pidto along with Alan Hahn. So the first quarter, again, wasn't great. But from then on, it got better and better. And the Knicks ended up blowing out the Pacers in the second half, outscoring them by 18 points.
Yeah, the offense was just incredible in this game tonight. And it was without Jalen Brunson. There was a lot of concern about the fact that who's going to create offense because he is the best offensive creator on the team. Well, what it was is a lot of passing the basketball, a lot of movement, some fast breaking as well, but knocking down threes. The Knicks were able to keep pace, no pun intended, with the Pacers early on. They couldn't miss, but neither could the Knicks. So staying in the game and staying with it early on allowed them to eventually take over.
Pacers in the first half hit 11 threes. In the second half, they made only 6. Knicks up by 4 after the first quarter, up by 8 at the end of the half, and things started to pick up at the end of the first half, and then really picked up for the Knicks in the third quarter.
Yeah, and certainly picked up with Josh Hart. He was on fire throughout this game. But late in this half, he knocks down a corner three. He knocked down another three as well, and that's why the Knicks were able to build the lead because of those late threes that he knocked down. But this is you can see it's a lot of tempo and a lot of ball movement, right? You're just seeing the Knicks really with great action and activity on offense, and you got to credit Alvarado early in the game for his ability to move the basketball, to push the pace as well. And Hart was just feeling it. He knocked down some early threes. He knocked down some shots in the paint, and he just started to get into a rhythm where he didn't feel like he could miss. And then in the third quarter, you saw Karl-Anthony Towns take over, another 20-point scorer for the Knicks tonight, as he got things going on the boards as well. But I just feel like, Bill, so much of this game was about the Knicks getting downhill and not letting the Pacers defense get set in half court. And then certainly when you have one-on-one situations to take advantage of, you do. Alvarado had a really good game in his start, as he had 16 points, he had 10 assists, and he knocked down 4 threes. Remember, Alvarado was very critical of himself for not being able to hit some threes lately, but he did tonight.
Yeah, Alvarado coming in from downtown before this game, 27% three-point shooter so far as a Knicks, but much better night. You see the numbers, 38 assists for the Knicks. Notice points off of turnovers, significant. Points in the paint also and up higher. How about the Knicks outboarding the Pacers by 13? Here now with OG Anunoby. OG, thank you for stopping by. You guys gave up 64 points in the first half, only 46 in the second half. What was the difference on the defensive end?
Just, getting stops, communicating better, better contests, and just, weathering the storm, We know a game's going to go up and down. Teams are going to make shots at certain points. So just staying with our defensive principles and continue to play.
Jalen Brunson out with a sore neck. You scored 15 of your 26 in the first quarter. How did Brunson's absence impact your approach to start the game?
Just being aggressive. The ball's finding me, and I'm always aggressive, I think. I'm always trying to make a play, whether for myself or for my teammates. And
worked out really well for you guys, but overall, what are the challenges of playing teams like these when you have a playoff spot basically wrapped up?
Every game is a chance to get better. So we don't take any opponent lightly. We know the Pacers are a great team. Every game's a chance to get better, so we never take it for granted.
OG, thank you for stopping by. Congrats on a great game.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, now, so Hart goes 12 of 13 shooting, and OG 10 of 13 shooting from the floor. And as I asked him, his start was really important.
Oh, it's critical, right? Again, it was who was going to carry the load offensively, especially in the first quarter when Towns goes to the bench for his normal rotation minutes, and it was OG Anunoby. And this is what he has been, of course, lately. We have seen this where he's getting aggressive on drives. He's getting the three-point shooting touch back. The toe issue he had out of the All-Star break, he got through it, and he was able to get better. And the number I keep going back to is my favorite stat. When Anunoby hits 2 or more threes, the Knicks now this season are 28-7.
All right, we talked about Josh Hart's game, his best point production as a New York Knick. And we take a look at the Breathe Like a Winner presented by Blue Air. They needed scoring, and Josh Hart, I don't know if we expected Josh Hart to score 33. They needed more scoring than normal from him. He really scored a lot of points.
I don't know if Josh Hart knew that he was going to bring this kind of scoring or have this kind of a shooting night. But he did, and early on, if you're feeling rhythm the way you do, the way a player can, and get into that rhythm, and things like this start to happen, that's when he starts to believe. But the threes were the biggest thing early on, especially late in that half. It was a close game in the second quarter still because the Pacers just wouldn't go away and kept knocking down threes. But Hart hit a couple of corner threes. He made some hustle plays as well in this game, and that gave the Knicks that cushion at halftime that they were able then to take and make a bigger lead in the second half.
Okay, Alan, let us now bring in Monica McNutt, help call the game tonight on the radio on ESPN New York. Monica, what do you think? Knicks dominant in the second half, struggled a bit early, but really poured it on in the last two quarters for sure.
Well, I heard you guys talking about it. The night that Josh Hart had, when I looked at the box score and said, oh, he only missed one shot? Like, that is a night, okay? But deserving of that night. We talked about the energy that he brings to this team going into tonight's contest. But I will say, I like the way that the defense was able to show up in the second half. In the first half, you're like, okay, cool, everybody's making threes, but emphasis on everybody, as in both teams. So were the Knicks going to be able to allow their defense to be felt by the Pacers? And I thought that's what you saw in the second half. But I also will add, I thought Karl-Anthony Towns had a terrific game, but Jose Alvarado's ability to be steady in that point guard spot, very impressive.
Yeah, 26 minutes, he had 10 assists, he had one turnover, with the ball in his hands a lot, and you could tell really pushing the pace and trying to get the Knicks down the floor. There was just a lot of movement with him out on the floor. This is what he brings. This is why Mike Brown loves him so much, right, Mom? Because he can change the pace. We talked about in the pregame show, with him starting, what will look different, it was him making sure that guys were getting up the floor because he was running. Who's running with me? I'll find you for some rhythm baskets.
Definitely that. I thought he did a great job of keeping his dribble alive. We saw his defensive energy, particularly in that stretch that ended the second quarter. Guys just diving on the floor, trying to get to the basketball and make plays. I thought he had a great game. And for him to get back to the three-point shooting that he believes of himself, 4 of 7 from the three-point line for Alvarado is outstanding. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was his first double-digit performance since he had that big game when he first joined the roster back in February. Philly in February.
All right, guys, Alvarado is the subject of tonight's thrilling moment presented by FanDuel Casino. Get your thrill on. There's just an X factor to him, Alan. He gives the team a little bit of physicality, a little bit of intensity.
A little bit of juice, a little bit of that New York, right? That's what he is, and that's what he's about. That's where he's from. He's from Brooklyn. He played high school ball at Christ the King. It means the world to him when he was introduced in the starting lineup tonight. As most players are introduced by their college, he was introduced from Christ the King High School. That's what he wanted. He wanted to represent. That's what he did tonight for his first Knicks start at Madison Square Garden. He was in great rhythm. Seeing those threes go down was so important for him because he had been struggling. He talked so openly and candidly about the struggles he was having, but he put the work in. He also knew how important this was for him to make an impact for his team as a starter with the superstar Jalen Brunson out of the lineup.
And Monica, every Knicks starter in double figures. Mikal Bridges didn't shoot especially well again. Only 4 of 12, but he did finish with 10 points, and everyone else in the starting 5 was in double figures, as was Mitchell Robinson, who again was effective off the bench.
Yeah, I do want to say this, though, Pidto, because I think folks got to be mindful that when you're in a slump, the way Mikal Bridges is, we can call a spade, it becomes as much mental, if not more mental, than it actually is physical. So I was encouraged that we're not seeing him turn down shots, because the only way to get through it is literally to shoot himself out of it. So he's got to keep going in that vein. And, of course, Mitchell Robinson minutes, I thought those were outstanding. He's a monster on the glass. 47 double-doubles now for Karl-Anthony Towns. As far as being able to look at the margin, the final score of this ball game, and say, okay, this team handled its business, you got one of those versus a team that has struggled to put W's in the left-hand column.
And if I could just put a bow on the Mikal Bridges conversation, is he took 12 shots. That's a good sign because get yourself involved. I think the up-tempo certainly helped him. But I'll also point out, the steal, the block, 5 assists. He talked about it. Stay aggressive, find ways to be aggressive, find ways to make an impact. It doesn't always have to be in scoring. There's other things you can do. And those are the areas, of course, you look at on a box score and say, okay, they didn't have a good shooting night. What else did you bring? He brought those elements.
He's indestructible. Turns his ankle, stays in the game.
And that
Gets his elbow, stays in the game.
That ankle turn, right? I know you saw the replay, Monica, right? Early in the game on the layup attempt, that ankle turn was pretty severe. Most players probably would have limped off the court. But he's talked about how he just has something in his DNA that helps him recover. He's like Wolverine.
Yeah.
He can recover so quickly from an injury.
I need to get some of that, because if you ask me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm out. I'm shooting terrible. That's enough. Let me get one out. I started.
My ankle would have fallen off completely if it been like that.
I'm cooked.
All right. Monica, as always, we appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. The Knicks blow out the Pacers. Jose Alvarado, his first start as a Knick in the MSG Player Spotlight, presented by Chase Freedom.
First one ever. Not ever, but in the garden. Oh! Come on, Cat. And one. On his head. Get nasty. Is this right?
What a night for the Brooklyn native. Alvarado, 16 points, 10 assists. Most assists in a first Knicks start since 75-76. Alvarado, look at that, in some pretty elite company. We continue now from the corner three, presented by Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer. Next up for the Knicks, they're at Brooklyn to take on the Nets on Friday. Pregame here at 7, game at 7:30. It's the fourth and final meeting between these two this year. So far this season, the Knicks are 3-0 against the Nets. Let's now listen into Mike Brown's postgame comments, as always, presented by Chase.
Good win by our guys. A lot of big contributions, especially offensively from a lot of different guys. Jose was our defensive player of the game. Indiana came out hot, especially from the three-point line in the first half. And the only thing that I told our guys, because we felt we had the right guys taking the right shots for them, just on our closeouts, I thought we overran the ball a few times on our closeouts, which created better three-point opportunities for them, and then a couple of times we didn't X like we normally have, and on the backside. So once we cleaned that up, they were 11 for 18 in the first half at 61%. We talked about it at halftime, and we did a better job in the second half. They went 6 for 20 from the three-point line at 30%. They also got out in transition a little bit. We did a better job with that in the second half, but overall for us, our transition game, our ability to crash the offensive glass, Big Cat and Mitch they were monsters on the offensive glass with 5 offensive rebounds apiece. But that area, and then 38 assists on 54 baskets, and 9 turnovers, just a whale of a game offensively when it comes to moving the ball. Part of that, though, is our spacing was really good tonight, and we gave each other space, and then when we touched the paint, we played off of 2 feet and made the right play. So good win by our guys.
Mike, obviously, we were talking about the starts before this game and last game. I think the starters were a +4 when we started bringing the bench. Like you said, I think 15 baskets, 13 were assisted, but the defense was a little wishy-washy. How would you kind of analyze how the starters started?
Yeah, and again, I thought, giving the credit, a couple of guys that, not that we want to give anybody threes, but we felt like we had the right guys taking threes, and some of them we contested, and the ball still went in. And that's what I tried to say before. If that happens, and knock on wood, and you lose, sometimes you just pat a guy on the back and say, hey, good win. We got to do a little bit better next time. Hopefully they'll miss and yada, yada, yada. But there were a few times, the 2 areas that I thought we weren't great in, or 3. The first one was our closeouts. We overran the ball a couple of times, which allowed them to get to the middle of the floor. When they got to the middle of the floor, we had to do this, and then they sprayed it, and they got decent looks that way. And then a couple of times on the backside, when we did go to help, when the ball was driven, we didn't protect one another, and we've been really, really good with our rotations on the backside of dribble drives and pick and roll game. We've really protected one another well on that backside, and we didn't do a good job with that neither. So those 2 things from the three-point line hurt us early, and then we weren't great in transition. But again, I give our guys credit because we did just enough to stay in it, and then we cleaned it up when we needed to.
Mike, monster game from Josh. Just what you see? When did you know that he had to go in this way? Just one missed shot on the day. Just what you see from him to have a role like that?
Leon said that Josh is a big candy guy, and he said it was Mike and Ike. So maybe he had some Mike and Ikes before they. Am I saying it right? Mike and Ike?
Yeah.
Mike and Ike? Mike and Ike.
Mike and Ike.
Mike and Ikes, yeah.
He does have Mike and Ike before.
He does? Okay, because he carried a box in before we started our pregame. He had a box in his hand. I was like, it is a thing. Okay, well, it's probably that. Yeah. Probably that.
Did it surprise you at all to have come off and see how
Yeah, you know, I just like the fact that he took the right shots. He didn't hesitate, and I think he was 5 for 5 from the 3-point line, and at least 4 of them were from the corner. I think maybe 3 of them, and he's been really, really good from the corner the whole year. And if he's open, we don't want him to hesitate. Usually, when he does hesitate, and he takes a couple dribbles towards the basket, messes up his rhythm and stuff like that. And so just, he puts in the work. And so for him to let it fly like he did tonight, more than them going in, I was more excited about that than anything else.
Like you talk about Josh working on not hesitating. That's kind of always been a thing for him. What's your way of kind of trying to instill that in him?
Just try to give him confidence. Hey, let it fly, and tell him, hey, if he does it, I'd rather him say, hey, I'd rather you shoot it than hesitate. Let it fly, and we'll live with the results. And not just him, but all of our guys. If you're open, your feet are set, somebody sprays you the basketball, or you get a swing, man, let it fly if you're wide open.
Mike, you left Mikal in longer than the other starters. Did you want him to get a feel, just see some balls go through?
Yeah, he hit a couple shots down the stretch, and to try to get anybody that hadn't shot it that well from the 3-point line to get another look, especially in a game like this, was a good thing. And man, I was. You talk about Mikal's streak and his durability. When he turned his ankle, I was like, whoa. And for him to be able somehow, some way fight through that, it was good to see. And so to try to get him, an extra look or two down the stretch was something that we wanted to do.
Do you anticipate Jalen being back Friday?
What's that?
Do you anticipate Jalen being back Friday?
I imagine so. Like I said, it wasn't anything too serious. And so with these next 3 days before our next game, it's plenty of time for him to get himself right, get his body right.
On the court, Alan with Josh Hart. Here comes Jose Alvarado. Alan, what do you have?
The wind up and unfortunate remark.
I gotcha. Welcome back, everyone, as the Knicks beat the Pacers 136-110. They won the second half by 18. Back here with Alan Hahn, and we haven't touched on Karl-Anthony Towns yet. He had another double-double,
right?
22 points and 11 rebounds. He was solid.
Yeah, it's amazing that we take those numbers for granted a lot of times, right? Because he's been doing it on a regular basis throughout this whole season. Second in the NBA in rebounding. He gets to 11 almost at ease. And the threes weren't dropping. Now, since the All-Star break, he's been shooting 45% from three-point range, which is a good sign because before the All-Star break, he had been struggling with that shot, normally a 40% shooter. In this game, 2 for 7, he did take some rhythm ones he liked. But around the rim, he was unstoppable. And this wasn't against, like nobodies. This is against Ivica Zubac, who's a really good defensive big man and a very physical big man as well. And he was able to handle him. So that was a great battle when the two of them were on the floor together.
By the way, the Pacers have now lost 14 in a row.
They had a 13-game losing streak earlier this season.
This is the worst losing streak they've ever had.
Yes.
And, of course, this is a team that made the NBA Finals last year.
It really is amazing they can go from riches to rags back to riches, because when they get healthy again next year, they should be a contending team. Adding Zubac is an interesting addition, but it's right. We've never seen this. A team go to the finals, they could have the worst record in the NBA the following year. It's just incredible.
And you look at what they throw out there on the court in terms of talent, they should be a lot better than just 15 wins. I don't understand it.
They've had a lot of injuries. They don't have a lot of depth.
No Tyrese Halliburton, of course, and Miles Turner is a Milwaukee Buck. All right, Knicks looking good tonight at home. Jose Alvarado makes the most of his first start as a Knick, as the Knicks win it tonight by 26.
The Knicks postgame show is presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer today.
Scoring 30 points and shooting at least 90% from the floor in a single game in Knicks history. Josh Hart, only the fourth to do it. Here he is after the game with Tyler Morey.
You guys pulled away. It's been a tough team to kind of put away this year. What made the difference being able to blow out a team like that?
I think we just continued to one we got stops. I think our defense in the second half was a lot better than the first half. I think at one point they were shooting like 70% from the field and 70% from three. So I think we got stops and were able to play our game and execute.
Notice you saw the tweet where you're on the list with Walt Bellamy, Bernard King, Willis Reed, 30 points, 90% shooting. What's it like to have a game like that? Historic performance.
Yeah, man, it was dope. It's Mike night. So, I knew I had to turn up a little bit. But no, it's cool.
Was it the Mike and Ike's?
100%. Fueled by Mike and Ike.
You guys good? Josh, what kind of do you feel like you're kind of catching confidence with the way that you've been shooting the three ball for the most part this year? Do you feel more confidence in taking the three now than you have at other points of your career?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I work with a shooting coach, every day. I think since All-Star, kind of obviously been struggling in terms of shooting. I think I'm kind of in my head in terms of a lot of the stuff. So I just gotta trust my work, go out there and shoot my shots. But I would say yeah.
Is it the Mike and Ike's or is Jalen?
Probably I'll say it's the Mike and Ike's first, and then Peter Patton second.
How big was Jose stepping in as a starting point guard today?
Yeah, he's someone that obviously we got him in trade deadline, and we wanted him to be someone who gets us organized, good guy shots, be a pest defensively, and that's what he did. So it was a good game for us all around. It was a kind of a get right game for us, so to say. And now we got to just continue to build off it.
You're at a night that people dream about. Everything hitting. What's it like being in that zone? You ever been in that level before?
Yeah, I've been in it before. It was fun. Just being aggressive. I think today, my PD guy, Joe, he just told me, he was like, man, you gotta be aggressive today. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go out there and just kind of play my game, shoot my shots, and be comfortable with it.
Now, they were shooting very hot in the first half, and then you guys took it over from there. It was just persistence to staying with it.
Yeah, I mean, give them credit because they were knocking out shots. I think the guys that were, knocking out those shots were the guys we were okay with, shooting it. And they were knocking them down. So we had to respect them a little bit more in terms of getting out and contesting more aggressively in the second half. I feel like we did that, and they missed, and then we were able to kind of get out and play our game.
All right, thank you.
All right, this, of course, St. Patrick's Day celebration here tonight at MSG. All the fans got one of these T-shirts presented by, just so everyone knows what Josh was talking about, Josh loves Mike and Ike's, and sponsored by Mike and Ike. There you go.
And again, as we said before, it is the only night here at the Garden where green is an acceptable color. We will celebrate it for one day, and then green goes out the door.
Just so you know, I like that line so much I stole it.
I heard it several times tonight.
Good line.
And we will keep the Mike and Ike's away from Bill.
Yeah, I had a good night.
Josh had a big night.
Wally is not here. Not here to give me all the candy. Maybe it'd be good if he kept covering the NCAA tournament.
Well, again, just keep you away from the Mike and Ike's. Keep Josh having the Mike and Ike's.
Of course, we miss Wally. He'll be back soon. And we'll continue with more after this. Excellent game for Josh Hart and the Knicks. 136-110. They win the season series over the Pacers, 3-1. All right, so 12 games left for the Knicks. First up, Friday night at the Nets. We got our pregame for you at 7. Tip-off 7:30, and you can stream our coverage on the Gotham Sports App. Want more than just a postgame show? Link your eligible TV subscription to stream Knicks games free, or subscribe today in the Gotham Sports App. Just go to gothamsports.tv to learn more.